Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. Today, a $5.2 trillion energy shock hits the markets. OpenAI accidentally blows up the memory chip industry, and developers are sleeping while AI swarms build the internet. But is the whole system about to crash?
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, you're listening to this deep dive right now because the systems you rely on, from the gas in your car to the code in your banking app, are showing some really serious structural cracks. And today, we're taking the raw feed of the day's top news and charting exactly where those cracks lead.
Right. And let me just establish right up front, if you look at the underlying data we're tracking today, it is painting a picture of a market running on just pure uncut hype. It's dangerously unchecked automation.
Yeah, total disconnect.
Exactly. A complete disconnect between the actual physical constraints of reality and the sort of, digital hubris of the tech sector.
Well, and the physical constraints are exactly where we need to start, because the stakes today are literally global. I want to look at the highest stakes story on the board, coming to us from the Geiger Capital feed.
Okay, yeah.
According to their tracking of the latest developments, President Trump is indicating an intent to end the U.S.-Iran war. But, and this is the crucial part, without reopening the Strait of Hormuz.
Which is huge.
Right, because for context, that strait has been completely closed to shipping for 20 days now. And just looking at an impartial breakdown of the market reaction, the fallout is staggering. Oil is up 150%.
Jeez.
And $5.2 trillion has just been erased from global equities.
Yeah, to understand why the market is just, bleeding out, you have to look at the sheer mechanics of that choke point. The Strait of Hormuz is only a 21-mile wide channel.
It's tiny.
It's tiny. But historically, about a fifth of the world's total oil consumption passes through it every single day.
Wow.
So when you permanently shut that down, you don't just route ships around a different cape, right?
Yeah.
You fundamentally rewire global trade overnight.
Because everything gets more expensive.
Exactly. Energy costs are no longer just a line item on a corporate balance sheet. They are now the defining, inescapable constraint on global economic growth. Everything you touch costs more to make, more to move, and more to compute.
Wait, so if the Middle East is totally bottlenecked and we are permanently rewiring trade, doesn't that effectively make the United States and Venezuela the de facto energy kings?
Yeah.
Just by sheer geographic luck?
Oh, from an economic standpoint, absolutely. America and Venezuela win big as top exporters because of their domestic supply and their geographic insulation.
Right.
But allied nations across Europe and Asia who rely on that steady flow of Middle Eastern crude, they are facing a systemic energy squeeze.
But here's the crazy part. That global physical scarcity of energy we just talked about is colliding head-on with the sudden artificial abundance of silicon.
Yes, the complete opposite problem.
Exactly. Because while physical oil is incredibly scarce, Google just made computer memory incredibly cheap. Akash Gupta posted a timeline today mapping out the silicon market, and it reads like a spy thriller.
Oh, it really does.
Back in October 2025, Sam Altman secretly flew to Seoul. He signed simultaneous, non-binding letters of intent with Samsung and SK Hynix to secure 900,000 DRAM wafers per month.
Which, just for the listeners, was roughly 40% of the entire global supply at the time.
Yes. And neither company knew the other was signing the exact same deal. It drove contract prices up like 171%.
What about panic buying?
Total panic. The industry was so terrified about running out of memory for AI that Micron even killed off their 29-year-old crucial consumer brand just to pivot every ounce of production to AI clients.
Yeah, everyone was operating on this infinite RAM thesis.
Right.
And today, we're watching that thesis implode. This is basically the hardware rug pull of the century.
Seriously.
Google just dropped a research paper at the ICLR conference detailing their new TurboQuant algorithm. And what this algorithm does is achieve a 6x memory compression for AI models with zero loss in accuracy.
Okay, wait. For anyone listening who isn't a machine learning engineer, how on earth do you compress a massive AI model by 6 times without it suddenly becoming stupid?
Well, it comes down to how the model stores its knowledge, right? Usually, an AI stores the weights, the connections between its artificial neurons, as incredibly precise decimal numbers.
Well.
And it takes a massive amount of physical memory to hold all those decimal places. TurboQuant figured out a mathematical technique to round those numbers off drastically.
Ah, okay.
So they're essentially packing the data tighter without disrupting the overall pattern of the network. Think of it like summarizing a dense 100-page academic textbook into a 15-page study guide.
Right.
If you do it intelligently, you lose the fluff, but you retain 100% of the core concepts you need to pass the test.
So if Google just proved you only need a fraction of the hardware to run the same intelligence,
Oh.
doesn't that mean we suddenly have a catastrophic oversupply of RAM? Like everyone was hoarding silicon for giant data centers that they suddenly just don't need?
Precisely. The entire market was pricing in a hardware panic that software just solved. I mean, look at the carnage today. Micron's stock plummeted 33%. They sacrificed a legacy consumer brand for a demand supercycle that just evaporated into thin air.
And the biggest domino is OpenAI. They just completely abandoned their $500 billion Oracle Abilene Stargate data center expansion down in Texas.
Yep. They overcommitted to a hardware supply chain right before a software breakthrough rendered it totally excessive. Now spot DRAM prices are falling 35%.
It's exponential whiplash. We have energy constraints strangling the Earth on one side and hardware bottlenecks vanishing overnight on the other.
It's wild.
But the power demands for the compute we do have are getting so intense that Y Combinator is actually hyping a literal escape hatch.
Oh, this story.
Yeah, they just congratulated a startup called StarCloud on hitting a $1.1 billion valuation in just 17 months. And their entire business model is putting NVIDIA H100 data centers in space.
Which sounds like absolute science fiction until you look at the underlying economics.
Right, because they utilize deep space radiative cooling, and they have unlimited solar power without atmospheric interference.
Fair.
And this is only economically feasible because of SpaceX. The SpaceX feed just confirmed they landed a Falcon 9 booster, the B-1067, for the 34th time. They've driven launch costs from $60 million down to under $30 million.
I have to push back on this entire premise, though.
Really? Why?
Because are we really just avoiding Earth's energy bill to pay a massive space tax? Yes, radiating heat into the vacuum of space solves the cooling problem that plagues Earth-based data centers. I'll give them that.
Right.
But what about cosmic radiation? You are taking incredibly sensitive GPU clusters and putting them in an environment where stray, high-energy particles routinely strike the silicon and cause bit flips.
Oh, like literally changing a 1 to a 0 in the code.
Exactly, literally changing the memory. To prevent your AI from hallucinating because a solar flare hit its memory bank, you have to heavily shield the servers.
And shielding adds weight.
Right. Shielding adds weight, and weight increases launch costs. So as a scalable solution to our constraints, I remain highly cynical.
Okay, fair point. But the reason we're even having a serious conversation about putting servers in orbit is because of what those servers are doing back here on Earth. The machines are now doing the driving.
They really are.
OpenAI developers released some data today regarding the usage of their Codex platform, and the charts show an unprecedented 60% surge in long-running tasks. We're talking 3+ hour refactoring and architecture jobs being initiated at 11 p.m.
Wow.
Developers are logging off, going to sleep, and the cloud is working the night shift.
See, we have successfully decoupled human labor hours from output. But in doing so, we have dangerously decoupled human oversight from execution.
Yeah. And to see just how far that decoupling goes, look at what Alvaro Sintas posted. He just open-sourced the setup that won the Anthropic hackathon.
Oh, the 27-agent swarm.
Yes. It's a Claude Code architecture utilizing 27 specialized agents, 64 workflow skills, and 33 commands. They claim it has 98% security coverage because of a system called Agent Shield that runs over 1,000 tests autonomously. People in the developer community are awestruck by the efficiency.
And I am aggressively tearing down that 98% security claim.
You don't buy.
Not for a second. Think about the reality of this. If you have a swarm of 27 agents writing, testing, and executing code while you are asleep in your bed, who catches the poison? Let's look at the West Boss post today.
Oh, the Axios hack.
Exactly. There is an active supply chain attack on Axios version 1.14.1. The maintainer's account was hijacked, and a malicious crypto-stealing dependency was injected. Axios has 83 million weekly downloads.
And the really insidious part is that it's a transitive dependency.
Right, which actually, explain that for the listener really quick, because that is the crux of why this is so terrifying.
Yeah, so a transitive dependency basically means you didn't download the malicious code directly. It's like hiring a highly trusted contractor to build your house, but they unknowingly buy poisoned pipes from a sketchy supplier.
Good analogy.
You never interacted with the supplier, but you still end up with toxic water in your walls. Axios is nested inside almost everything JavaScript related.
Exactly. So if you are a developer listening to this right now, this is the part that should make you sweat. If your 27-agent swarm decides to be efficient and auto-updates a nested dependency at 3 a.m. to clear a minor bug, it will pull in that poisoned pipe.
Well, automatically.
Automatically. The agents aren't doing threat intelligence, they're just executing tasks. Your entire company infrastructure is compromised by the time you wake up and pour your coffee.
And CEOs are definitely waking up to this panic.
Yeah.
Guillermo Raut, the CEO of Vercel, posted that using Opus 4.5 for coding is a one-way door. The efficiency is just too great to ignore.
Yeah, you can't go back.
But he put out a stern warning against what he calls vibing with mission-critical infrastructure. He is demanding auto-rollback guardrails because he knows LLMs suffer from intense false confidence. They will confidently deploy malware if the unit tests happen to pass.
He is absolutely right to be paranoid, because even the frontier AI companies, the ones building these models, cannot secure their own code.
Oh my gosh, yes, the Anthropic leak.
It's unbelievable. A user named Hessimation noted today that Anthropic accidentally leaked the source code for their proprietary Claude Code CLI tool. They exposed it through an NPM source map.
Okay, how does a multi-billion-dollar AI lab accidentally leak its own blueprints to the public?
Well, source maps are supposed to act like a translator, right? When developers publish code to the web, they minify it, shrinking it down so it loads faster, which basically makes it unreadable to humans.
Right.
A source map is a file that maps that scrambled code back to the original readable source so the developer can debug it later. But someone at Anthropic forgot to strip out their original proprietary blueprints before publishing the package to the public registry.
Oops.
Big oops. Within an hour, a copy on GitHub had 1,500 stars. Now it's up to 13,000. People are actually using Claude itself to audit the leaked Claude code and find memory leaks.
That is just incredible.
It's a disaster. If Anthropic is accidentally leaking proprietary tooling, how can any enterprise trust agentic deployments blindly? This is exactly why we are seeing developers flocking to privacy-first tools. Like, look at OpenCode Go, posted by 0x0. They guarantee zero data retention. Your inputs aren't stored, and they aren't trained on.
And the corporate panic over this is forcing a massive strategic shift across the board. Andrew Curran highlighted today that OpenAI just shockingly killed off Sora.
Their flagship video model.
Yes, the one that was supposed to revolutionize Hollywood. They didn't even tell Disney. Disney executives reportedly found out less than an hour before the public announcement.
Wow.
OpenAI had to kill it to free up compute for an enterprise database tool called Spud.
The irony is rich, isn't it? The closed AI labs, the ones who promise us the magic of Hollywood from a simple text prompt, are retreating. They are building enterprise spreadsheets and back-office auditing tools because they overextended their compute and couldn't monetize the consumer side. I mean, Sora had fewer than 500,000 users. It was a novelty. Meanwhile, look at what the open source community is doing. Alibaba just dropped Qwen 3.5 Omni.
Which is a native omni-modal model, meaning it doesn't just read text. It natively processes text, image, audio, and up to 400 seconds of high-definition video.
And it beats Gemini across the board. Plus, it features real-time audio-visual vibe coding.
Oh, that's right.
You can literally point your phone camera at a physical object, describe what you want to do with it, and it builds the application or game instantly. The open models are agile, and they are building dynamic virtual worlds. The closed models are bloated, and they are retreating to optimized databases.
Which really begs the question, what happens to the human psyche when you're caught in the middle of this transition?
It's got to be exhausting.
It is. When open source models are generating worlds on the fly and swarms of agents are writing millions of lines of code while you sleep, it takes a toll. Austin Allred posted today that insiders at the Frontier Labs are suffering from what he calls AI psychosis.
AI psychosis?
Yeah. They genuinely believe AGI, artificial general intelligence, is single-digit months away. This completely contradicts the public timelines of 1 to 3 years. They are living in this constant state of exponential distortion.
It is an echo chamber of the highest order, and the broader developer culture is mercilessly mocking this psychosis. It's largely a venture capital mirage.
Totally.
Ben Hylak wrote a brilliant piece of viral satire today. He joked that it's 2027 and why Combinator CEO Gary Tan has just crossed 1 billion lines of code a day using his AI agents. But to do it, they had to divert the water supply from 3 rural California towns just to cool his local LLMs.
That's hilarious.
The punchline of the joke is protesters rioting outside his house shouting, "What is he actually building?"
Yes. Because high lines of code metrics often just mask totally inefficient, trivial garbage output. And adding fuel to that exact fire, the developer, the Primey agent, caught Gary Tan hyping an AI coding tool called Conductor on his timeline, acting like it was this amazing organic discovery he just stumbled upon.
Oh, I saw this.
The Primey agent posted the receipt showing Conductor is actually a YC-backed startup. Tan didn't disclose his financial incentive. It perfectly captures how much of the current agentic era is just founders hyping their own investments to pump the valuation.
Which raises the most important question for anyone listening today. If code is fully commoditized, if an AI can generate 1 billion lines of code a day, or instantly build a website from a voice prompt, what is your actual value?
Right. What is your moat? Robert Scoble summarized an article today that lays out the answer to that. He argues the only moats left, the only things protecting you or your business from being replaced, are compounding proprietary living data, network effects, and government regulations. If you just have a static data set or a clever algorithm, you're dead. You need dynamic, real-world friction.
Well, and corporate structure is a moat too. Look at how Brian Armstrong is operating at Coinbase. The A16Z account highlighted his Next Bets program today.
What's that?
He lets any employee pitch high-risk ideas internally for funding. They built the USDC stablecoin and the base layer 2 blockchain that way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he created a corporate structure to capture human ingenuity before it walks out the door to start a competitor.
That's smart.
Or look at the post from Lavelcio about Airbus. Modern Airbus planes like the A350, the A380, the Neo variants have a flawless safety record. 0 fatal accidents. True physical safety in the unpredictable real world is a moat that a generative AI simply cannot touch.
It's the difference between rendering a photorealistic bridge in a video game and actually pouring the concrete so cars don't fall into the river.
Yeah.
Generative AI is phenomenal at drawing the picture. It is terrible at pouring the concrete.
Yes.
And I want to close this out with the most perfect metaphor for human defense we've seen all day. It comes from Trunk Fan, who shared a clip of Jim Browning. If you don't know Jim, he is a legendary scam baiter on YouTube.
Mob was great.
He gets on a video call with a scammer who is using a high-tech, real-time deepfake to hide their identity.
Right, so a multi-million-dollar generative technology stack being used to defraud people in real time.
Exactly. And how does Jim defeat it? He doesn't use counter AI or complex algorithms. He simply asks the scammer to put 3 fingers in front of their face.
That's it.
That's it. An IE study showed that AI models fail 25 to 35% of the time on dynamic finger occlusion.
Okay, wait, explain the mechanism there. Why does the AI break just from holding up fingers?
Because AI models train on flat images of faces. When you introduce unpredictable, multi-layered depth like waving your fingers over your nose and mouth, the AI doesn't know which pixels belong to the face and which belong to the fingers.
I see.
It gets confused about what to render in front and what to render behind. So the deepfake immediately glitched out. The scammer panicked and refused to do it.
That is amazing. The ultimate defense against a multi-trillion-dollar AI industry is literally just holding up 3 fingers.
Yep.
Human friction is the ultimate premium. The AI can generate code, it can compress memory, it can mimic voices, but it breaks the second it has to interact with unpredictable physical human reality.
We have covered incredible ground today, from global oil shocks and disappearing hardware constraints to poison code dependencies and deepfake scammers. Based on all the data we're seeing, what is the trajectory for tomorrow?
I'll leave you with this prediction. As these AI coding platforms aggressively push for fully autonomous overnight deployments, we are going to see a fierce enterprise retreat back to localized offline compute.
Makes sense.
The pendulum is going to swing hard toward safety, and you will see a heavy premium placed on verified human auditors to prevent the next Axios-level supply chain collapse. The automated future is currently far too brittle to trust with the keys to the kingdom.
We just talked about deepfakes, failing the 3-finger test, and AI agents blindly downloading malware in the middle of the night. In a world where digital intelligence is becoming artificially abundant, genuine human friction is becoming a luxury good. So ask yourself, in your career, what is your personal 3-finger trick? What is the uniquely human, unrenderable friction you bring to the table that an LLM cannot replicate?
Stay sharp, keep questioning the consensus, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
Thanks for diving deep with us. Have a great one.